Hi, everyone. I'm Cullen Haynes, and welcome to Law Live, episode 57. And thank you so much for tuning into our live stream, those re-listening and those getting this into the podcast, which comes out wherever you get your podcast. My next guest is truly going to change the face of conveyancing as we know it. Almost 10 years in the legal profession, worked for a number of top-tier law firms herself, McPherson Kelly and G plus T, or Gilbert and Tobin, for those who don't know. Can you please make very welcome Shauna Mainprize, the founder of Valice Conveyancing. Shauna, it's lovely to have you as our guest today.
Hi, Cullen. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How are things in your circle of influence? What's the latest?
Yeah, good. I just need to clarify. You said I worked at McPherson Kelly, but it wasn't. It was McCullough
Oh,
Robertson.
McCulloch Robertson. Let's get that fair. McCulloch Robertson. I'm sure McPherson Kelly is a lovely
They
place.
deserve they deserve a good shout out. It was a good place to work.
No, but those two places, we'll get into that. You got a lot of good grounding there, right?
Yes. Yep.
Great. Well, I want to know, and everyone wants to know who's tuning into the stream, what's happening in your circle of influence right now?
Well, I have last year I started my own law practice, and which I'm specialising in conveyancing. My background was in banking and finance I used to specialize in real estate finance. So conveyancing was always a part of what I did. And I always thought if I ever just wanted to have a bit more of a chill life, I'll just do conveyancing. So yeah, I started my own business, which is certainly not a chill life, but that's a whole nother thing. And yeah, that's that's what I've been doing for the last year and a bit. And yeah, it's fun. It's exciting.
Well, that's why we put the title as the best back themselves, because you were the best in what you were doing, and you thought, let's start this place, and it's pronounced Valice, not Valice. I learned that very quickly, right?
Yes, it's Valice, like Alice, but with a V. Um, when I first named it, I actually was thinking Valise, and I was like, no one's gonna know to call it Valise, and everyone calls it Valise.
I think it's just easier to say. I don't know, but I still think Valice is awesome. Can you tell us the meaning behind it?
Well, I was trying to think of a name, and it was really hard. And one of my girlfriends was like, "Hey, there's this really cool cafe," and they named it just by putting their grandparents' names together. And so I was driving one day, and I was like, "I wonder if I could do that." And then my great grandmother's name was Violet Alice Mainprize, so I thought Valice, that's cool. And yeah, then I told people, and they were like, "Yeah, that's good." So that's what I did.
Oh, that's so lovely and a great testament to your grandmother. I think that's beautiful. And I just want to say, everyone tuning in, this is live. This is happening on the drive home shift, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. All questions, comments, queries, concerns, please put them in the comments. We are beaming live, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. So we'd love to hear any questions you have for this absolute legal behemoth. Second question of the stream there, Shauna. How would you explain your life using just film titles?
Well, firstly, do neurotypicals just go around remembering the names of movies they've watched? Like, I don't know the name of movies I've watched. So, so the only thing I can think of, and it's because it's my favoriteest movie of all time and I can quote the entire thing, is Legally Blonde. Because
I object.
I'm I'm a lawyer. I have blonde hair, but also I relate to her in a lot of ways because I really love being a lawyer, but I'm weird and kind of different to most other lawyers. So yeah, it does kind of relate to me.
You and Elle Woods, you're like two peas in a pod, right?
I mean, I'm no Elle Woods, but I wish I was.
I'm
My
still
family's
yet
gonna
to
be so
see.
embarrassed of me.
Oh
No one
my
would
God.
ever
You were
watch
saying
it with
before we
me.
got on there that you're weird and there's going to be nuance. I think I haven't seen it yet. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. But I'd love to ask you there, Shauna, what sparked your interest in property law and conveyancing?
Well, actually, it was kind of a weird random series of events in my life that kind of led me here. When I was at uni, I was really drawn to the business side of law. So I loved contract law, and I had this lecturer, Margaret Bond, and she was just the best. And she just like taught me so well, and I loved it. So when I had to choose my honours thesis topic, I was like, I have to do something in contract law because I have to have Margaret Bond as my supervisor. And I chose to do it on electronic signatures, which back then was just kind of like weird. Like we did everything in paper. Like we barely used computers. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but like, you know. And so I did electronic signatures as my honours thesis, and then I got into like the first job that I got was in like banking and finance. So we were acting for lenders and borrowers, generally people buying and selling property. So it just kind of like went that way. Then, you know, and when I first started, everything was done in paper. We didn't like PEXA wasn't really a thing, and then it got to the point where PEXA started to become mandatory and people had to use it. So as a junior lawyer at that time, I had to learn it all because we were the ones who had run the settlement. So I have the benefit of having like become good at settlements both in paper and then also electronically as that started to progress. Then COVID hit and everything just had to be done electronic. So it really expedited. Using PEXA, also the electronic signatures, electronic transactions act. All of that was like, you know, we had temporary measures put in place so that people could sign anything electronically because obviously like we couldn't leave our houses. And then that all got made permanent, I think, in 2022. So it got to the point where property was like doing a property transaction was just, you could do it 100% electronically. So it was just a good opportunity to start, you know, my own business because this is what I did. Like I know the electronic framework back to front. It's what I've done for my whole career. So yeah, I'm an expert in it. So I thought I may as well capitalize and work for myself. And so yeah, that's what I've done.
So leading female lawyers watching today, what would you say to them that are in your position, the best at what they do? Would you say back yourself and start your own thing if you're not getting the recognition or the accolades you deserve? Or what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's like been such a learning journey. I absolutely didn't expect that it would be as challenging on like both a personal and professional level, but I've just grown in ways I just didn't realize I could. So it's just been, yeah, the best thing I've done, even if it's been hard. It's definitely the best thing to do, to back yourself and just do it if that's what you're wanting to do.
Well, I can say hand on heart, both our legal clients at Legal Home Loans and our leading chartered accountant clients at CA Home Loans, they love what you do because we've got obviously a panel of conveyancers and you're one of our leading choices. And the feedback we get from a service proposition and like the follow-up and everything is absolutely fantastic. And the price point, I think we've talked about before, that people are getting top tier service at a boutique price point. Was that obviously a deliberate move on your part?
Yeah, well, thanks for the nice words.
Please.
Yeah, absolutely, because the business model is so lean. Like you know, we don't have to pay for fancy offices. We can do everything from like our home. So you know, we've got access to office space if we need it. But yeah, being able to deliver the service this way means that we can charge like competitive fees. So we're still competitive in the market compared to what, you know, the other conveyancers are charging. But yeah, we're bringing that level of experience that you wouldn't generally see in this market.
Are you saying that top tier law firms have grand offices? I don't believe it. I'm just
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, a whole floor dedicated to clients with butlers, kitchens, you know, the works.
all those costs have got to go somewhere. But I want to, that's what I want to, it's a nice segue actually, because obviously we talked about the paper thing and obviously digital is the way to go. And I saw one of your LinkedIn posts and it was the same for us. We don't mention it very often because COVID was terrible. But one of the best things was being able to get all the DocuSign and everything done virtually. But why else did you start Valice? What was the other things you wanted to make different other than the cost and the the e-sign nature of it and the technology. Was there anything else you wanted to circumvent or shake up about the industry that you don't see happening at the bigger end of town, or even in conveyancing in general?
Yeah, I think like so for most of my career, I've been like I always like to do things the best way. So and that's like using technology and working out the best way to build like a seamless process. And lawyers are very reluctant to do anything different and change the way that they do anything. So it was kind of hard to get people to get on board with those things, even though they work great and make your matter flow and your junior lawyers be able to like, know what they're doing without it being like heaps of work on your part. So that was definitely something that I was really keen to do myself, is really design a process that uses technology really well so that our time is used usefully. So where we can automate, we automate, and that means that it frees us up to be involved in the transaction where we need to be, so that we're still providing a good like face-to-face client service, as you're not missing out basically.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Well, you're definitely doing that there, Shauna. I want to switch gears a little bit. Talk about you personally. Is there a surprising skill that has helped you not only in your legal career, but starting your entrepreneurial journey?
I guess like, yeah, I would say that I'm like able to talk to anyone and build rapport with anyone. So that really helps, because just over the trajectory of my career, I've always made an effort to make like form relationships with like the juniors at the clients, and now those juniors are seniors, so it's made my network quite strong, and it's yeah, allowed me to just kind of like be able to reach out to people and have people refer work my way, or help me build my business in a way that would have been difficult if I hadn't been able to form those connections early on.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, we've got a few people tuning into the stream. We've got Grace Callahan on Instagram saying Shauna Mainprize is the main prize. Love heart emojis in the eyes. So thank you, Grace, which is awesome. Obviously, what we do in finance is stressful. What lawyers do is stressful. Conveyancing, when you're dealing with the banks, is ultra stressful. I don't know how you do it. Let me tell you. How do you unwind at the end of a particularly tough day, Shauna?
Well, I just kind of like to hang out with my husband and my pets. I've recently got into Pilates and yoga, so I've been doing Pilates and yoga, which is cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, just like making sure that I log off at a decent time. Like I try not to work past 6 o'clock, so that I have like look after my mental health and make sure that I have that rest time, because I find that if I really don't prioritize that, then I'm just not as effective during the day. So if I make sure that I'm like on point during the day and I have dedicated rest time, it really does help to be able to just, deal with this deal with this shit.
Oh, there you go. I love that. Raw and real. Let me tell you.
Try not to swear so I don't ruin the algorithm.
Now, I did tell you that the algorithm does pick up because it's transcribing the subtitles. If you say the S or F bomb, heaven forbid, I think they'll can my LinkedIn, or I'll be shadow banned on Instagram. But nonetheless, let's take the risk. Let's keep going. Anyone tuning in, we've got Shauna Mainprize, founder and lawyer at Valice Conveyancing. Please put your questions in there. Thank you so much again for tuning in. And if you're still listening or still watching, really appreciate it. Any passion projects you're working on right now, Shauna, that you can feel free to share with us?
Well, so I think I've told you about this, but I had recently been like suffering with some autoimmune symptoms, and so I've become really obsessed with like working out how to fix my health and like fix it naturally. So really just like, I don't know, heaps of research on like autoimmune disease, gut health, all of that sort of like, trauma, all of that, how it all integrates and how it all makes for either a healthy body and a healthy life or not. And yeah, I've been on a wild journey with that, and feel like I'm making some good progress on that now. I've started this week this horrendous elimination diet. Oh, have I been lost?
No, you haven't been lost. I don't know what's happening here. There we
Oh,
go.
I got
Keep
to
it
be
going.
right
Keep it
back.
going.
Okay, I'm back. Where I was up to. Oh yeah, I've started this horrendous elimination diet this week where like I can't have anything. Like I can't have coffee or milk or dairy. I mean that is milk, gluten, etc. And it's been so hard, but I've actually feel the greatest that I felt in like a year and a half. It's really cool. So that has basically consumed my life outside of trying to build a business. But I also am like, I'd love to learn tarot reading, and I have tarot cards that I've sort of been trying to learn. But yeah, that's people might think that's a bit weird though, so
No,
I won't talk
definitely
too
not.
much about
I'm a
that.
big fan of the spiritual realm and whatnot. I'm a not. I believe that there's many spokes on the wheel. It takes you to the same place. Every time I pick up a tarot card, I seem to pick up the devil card. But what someone once told me is the devil in reverse is lived. So might be something.
Mm,
So there you go.
I don't know.
On the
Yeah.
first part, I'm glad that your health is getting better, and
Thank you.
people should be warned that they need to make sure that their houses don't have a certain thing that starts with M in it, right? Like they got to make sure that
Yes.
they're living in a great space, because it can take a toll on your health, and you could think it's something else, right?
Yes, absolutely. Like what triggered all of this for me was I was living in a house in Neutral Bay. So like this is quite common in and around Sydney. And I just didn't know until like recently that there was mold growing in the subfloor underneath it that's like putting spores into the air that I was breathing. So about 3 months after I moved into the house, I started getting unwell, and I just did not know what it was. Like I was healthy, fine before then. I mean, stressed as anything, but like nothing nothing physically like wrong with me. So yeah, it took me like a year and a half to work out what was going wrong, and then yeah, that's what spurred the passion project of becoming obsessed with trying to work out my health. But yeah, definitely don't risk if you find mold in your house, just don't risk it. Get out.
No, and I've shared with you that one of the places that we previously lived in did that, and we were out in the light. It's not worth it. Your health is too
Yes.
valuable. Put your own mask on first and relocate. So I'm glad you're doing well. I'd love to know
Thank you.
this question, because obviously you're obviously very sharp lady, started your own business. So looking into your tarot cards into the future, where do you see the business and the professional law in the next 10 years, Shauna?
Well, I think um, well, my business, I hope that it, grows into being something that is like, hugely successful as any business owner wants. I'm like niching in the professionals market, so looking to act for professionals, lawyers, accountants, that kind of space. That my own experience selling a property in, I think, 2018, I used an online conveyancer, and I thought, this would be easy. I understand conveyancing, the amount of hand holding I had to do. This settlement actually fell over because it was just so poorly handled on their end, and I just wanted so badly to have had someone like me handling the conveyance. And unfortunately, there's just not a lot of that in the market. So that's why I want to offer this service to people in our industry, so that they're getting a service that's of the quality that they're used to in their own market. And so then over the next 10 years, I would be expecting that we would be able to grow the business and be servicing, most of the people in those industries, and doing it in a way that's seamless, fits in with their life. It's not taking too much from them. They're busy. They just want someone to just take it and handle it, and it just not be a problem. And that's where I see it going.
Oh, very well said. And I'd love to tease that out a little bit more. What do you think it is? We're in the broking industry. We never denigrate other brokers, but we just know that we're the only ones serving lawyers, and we know we do it so well. You've told me before you were the best at what you did in top tier. Do you think that's helped you, and that gives you the point of difference over other conveyancing firms where maybe they don't have a specific background in the top tier field? I'd love to know what sets you apart there, Shauna.
Yeah, so like I mean, I don't want to rag on anyone either, but
No, no, of
certainly
course.
my experience working for lenders, so working in the space where you're acting for a lender, what you're having to do is ensure everything goes perfectly, that all the risks have been considered from every angle. Like the lender is the one that's lending all the money; they're the ones at risk if, say, it doesn't, a document's not signed correctly or a mortgage doesn't get registered. They're the ones that are going to lose out. So, as the lawyers acting in that space, there is like you have to know everything about it. You have to know the e-conveyancing framework back to front. And it's what I have realized from that experience is how much you wouldn't know not having had that experience. So that certainly sets me apart from others in the space. Even just if you're just doing, property law, you're also just not able to consider it from that angle of the lender, which yeah, it's basically covering all bases from a risk perspective.
No, well said. Well said. And in your wonderful years of 9 years of in the legal profession, or in the recent year that you've started, I'd love to know what's the most unusual client request you've ever received? Anonymous, of course. I'd love to inject a little bit of fun into it. What's the most unusual client request you've ever got?
Well, when I was earlier in my career, we were acting for these like kind of like the non-bank lenders, but more of the like last resort lenders. And a deal went south, and the lender had to enforce against a mortgage. So we had to get a court order, and you get to the point where the sheriff is going to enforce the court order, goes and has to take the property. And the sheriff showed up at the property, and the borrowers had super glued all the doors and windows shut, so the sheriff couldn't physically enter the property because it was all glued closed.
Oh,
It's not really
very
a
clever,
request, but
actually. Very
it's super
clever.
funny.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, that is something unusual. What a sticky situation, pun intended.
Very sticky.
Very sticky indeed. But turning on to more aspirational things, who in the life of Shauna Mainprize, the Mainprize, thank you, Grace, who has been your most influential mentor and why?
Oh, okay, definitely Amy Tin. She currently works at Cambodia, but I worked under her at McCullough Robertson. And she just was like the first female in my career to just, for no reason, just take me under her wing and just have my back and mentor me. Like she just was like, "Let's go out for coffee," and I went out for coffee with her, and she was like, "Okay, pay review's coming up. How are you going to negotiate your pay?" And at that point, I was like grateful to have a job, and she really drilled into me like, "No, this your job is your business. Like you need to negotiate for yourself, you need to back yourself." And it really changed my perspective in a lot of ways. And like moving forward, that's how I now mentor junior lawyers, is to really just empower other females. And yeah, it was really influential. And even to this day, like she's always reaching out and supporting me in everything. And yeah, I'm really grateful to her. She's great.
Well, Amy Tin, if you're watching, shout out to you, and that's a lovely sentiment there. It sounds like you had a good mentor in Amy. And are you finding you're doing obviously things separate to the business to help empower women? Are you part of any groups or hosting any events or anything like that?
I'm not at the moment. I haven't really been doing too much other than trying to build
You're
the
building the
business and
business.
get my health. But I would love to. Like that, I have such a passion for empowering women. I just always have. And yeah, I just think that women are so great, and society has really just taught us to just hate ourselves and like hate our bodies and just put us in a box. So yeah, I would really love to do more in that space, and I absolutely plan to.
Very good. I can see you in the likes of Brene Brown, all those Angela Duckworth on the stage doing the TED Talk, empowering. I love it.
That'll be me.
That's you, Shauna Mainprize. Let's go. I know you said you have nothing to say on this, but you can be as sharp and as honest and pointed as you want. What do you want to see change in law right now?
Well, I think a cultural shift around the billable hour in law firms is probably
Mm,
the biggest thing. There are lots of things, but certainly that it encourages overworking, which just leads to burnout, which you just see all too often, and it also discourages non-billable aspects of the job, which are really important, like mentoring and training junior lawyers. So when you're in an environment that's so competitive and you need to just be constantly focusing on meeting your billable targets, it just becomes exhausting. And the junior lawyers they just get neglected. And then as a junior lawyer, when you don't have someone investing that time in you, it's terrifying. Like you don't know anything and you end up making mistakes because you haven't had proper training and it traumatizes you. So then that's hard to come back from when that's your initial experience. So yeah, it's just really important to be encouraging those other aspects of the job, and the culture around the billable hour at the moment, I think, is just not healthy.
no, good points you're making. I hear from some of those my legal colleagues and whatnot that sometimes it doesn't matter what you bill; they either add or subtract anyway at the end of the day when they do a review. I don't know if that's true or it's to the point or to the book or what.
Yeah,
What do you experience?
it's certainly different. It's just different across the different firms and the different teams. So, if you work for a good partner, they won't write your time off. But, sometimes if you don't, it's competitive and a bit and gross, and that's just, yeah, it's the reality of it. So you could put in all that time and then it's not going to get billed, and then it just gets written off and
Ah,
it hurts your
yeah.
your performances. Yeah.
A meaningful change, I think you've talked about. So well done there, Shauna. And this kind of nice segue as well. What lessons would you have young lawyers, young women, young professionals starting their career? What would you like them to know if they're tuning in right now?
Something that I always drill into my juniors is to trust your gut instincts when you're doing work. So when you first start, you don't know anything. You're just trying your best, and you might come across something and you think, oh, that doesn't really make sense, but it's probably right. I don't know. Someone before me has done it. I'm just going to copy it. And I always say, trust your instincts in those situations, because if yeah, you don't know everything, but you're smart enough to sense if something doesn't make sense to you. And if it doesn't make sense to you, it's probably wrong. So go with it.
Trust your gut. Sage wisdom as ever there was some there, Shauna. Well done. And look, this is we're getting to the end of the stream. We've got bonus questions coming up. So thank you everyone for tuning in. When all is said and done, at the end of your days, how would you, Shauna Mainprize, like to be remembered?
Um, I would love to be remembered as someone who has had a positive impact on the females in my life. So, like, just, yeah, empowering people to just see how great they are. So, all the women in my life, they're just so great. And I see them just not see it. So I would love to be a role model for the women in my life, to show them how great they are.
And I think you're already doing that, Shauna. Well done. But
Thanks.
yeah, talking about where leading legends of law and other professions can get in touch with you and potential clients, where are you hanging out most? Where should people get in touch with you?
Valice.com.au. That's where I
Come
hang
on.
out.
Valice. I love that. Valice.com.au, not Valice. Valice like Alice. Here we go. So here we go. I'm putting that in here. Valice.com.au. Obviously active on LinkedIn as well. So I'm sure you'd welcome a cheeky DM and whatnot if someone needs help too. And thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining on our main part of the Law Live, Shauna.
No worries. Thanks for having me. It wasn't as bad as I thought.
Oh, of
Hopefully I
course. I
wasn't too
told you it
weird.
was going to be fantastic. No, not too weird. I think, if anything, people are gleaning many nuggets of wisdom and are walking away illumined at the end of the day, which I think is great.
Fabulous.
Thanks, Sean. And we'll bring you back just in a moment. Thanks so much. And if you are a legend of law and or know someone who is and you'd like to be on the next episode or a future episode of Law Live, please feel free to get in touch. We come out most Wednesdays on Wednesday. And not only do we upload this in real time, we also have our podcast, which you can get wherever you get your podcast. Please hit that bell, hit subscribe, like, give us a 5-star. And looking forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Bye for now, everyone, and take care. Bringing back Shauna Mainprize. If you could explain your role and what you do to a 6-year-old child, how would you go about doing that?
Okay, I would say to them, the house that you live in, if your parents wanted to sell it or they wanted to buy a new one, I would make that happen for them.
Oh, it's very simple.
Yeah, I mean, how else, right?
Indeed. Well done there, Shauna. I'm sure a lot of children watching, if they are, saying thank you so much. You talk about pets. How would your pets describe you?
Okay, well, I have a dog, Molly. She's a toy poodle. So I think she would describe me as the absolute love of her life, with the apple of her eye. Like her mammy, she just loves me so, so, so much. She thinks I'm just wonderful. And my cat, Harvey, he's a ragdoll. He's gorgeous. He would describe me as his secret love that he knows loves him so much, so that he tests daily by meowing at me to do things for him. So like he wants to go outside, so he'll meow at the door to go outside. I'll let him outside, and then he'll just meow to come straight back in. He just wants me to action things for him. And I'm a fool, and I do it every time because I love him so much. So, but yeah, he secretly loves me heaps. I'm his person.
So we got Molly, love of life, apple of eye, and, you know, obviously your Molly's mammy, and then Harvey, secret love. I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. And last question, certainly not least, for all those bonus subscribers and those tuning in, give advice to yourself at any age. So if you could go back in time, talk to yourself at any age, what age would you go back and talk to yourself at? And what do you think the advice you'd give yourself would be?
Oh, so definitely like early 20s. And I would just be like, chill out, mate. Like, it's not going to be terrible. It's going to work out fine. It's going to work out better than you realized. You'll be fine.
So you just go back a year or two. Great. Well done.
Yeah, I'm that young.
That's fantastic advice, Shauna. I'm going to put valice.com.au in the show notes. Please, if you are buying your home, selling your home, refinance it, whatever, get in touch with Shauna. No matter what it is, you need someone who's on your side, who knows what they're doing. And as I said, top tier service at a bespoke price point. Definitely, before you go anywhere else, give Shauna a go and her team at Valice. Thank you so much for being part of Law Live today there, Shauna. It's been fantastic.
No worries. Thanks, Cullen, for having me. It was good.
An absolute pleasure. An absolute pleasure. Have a great Wednesday evening, anyone. Get home safely, and we'll see you on our next Law Live on the Mic next week.